Good morning. It's good to see everyone here today. My name is Michael Strange. I'm the interim director for Columbia Housing Development Corporation. And on behalf of our Development Corporation's Board of Directors and our chairman, Nate Barber, I'd like to welcome you to this morning's press conference for the demolition of the former Christ Court Apartments. I would like to welcome from the City of Columbia, our Mayor, Stephen Benjamin, our honorable city council members, Egg McDowell, Ms. Tamika Devine, and Howard Duvall. I would also like to welcome Ms. Alexandra Fergus with our Jones McDaniel Neighborhood Association. The purpose of the Columbia Housing Development Corporation is to help revitalize neighborhoods and help do residential single-family housing development. So with this particular project, it was one that was identified by the late Miss Deborah Livingston, who I knew for almost 20 years. Miss Livingston was always a great visionary person. She thought well into the future. If you didn't know her, she was very determined, and I think she would be very pleased to know that these structures were finally coming down. One of our goals as the Columbia Housing Development Corporation is to work with our partners. Some of the partner agencies that are here today, the City of Columbia Community Development Department with our Executive Director, Gloria Saeed, and her staff. We'd like to thank them for coming. State Housing Authority, which is Valerie Williams is the director, but we also have her staff, Jennifer Kogan, and I saw Damian Carpenter. I don't see him now, he's here. Their staff members. Also, the City of Columbia Code Enforcement. Definitely would like to thank David Hatcher for all of his support and guidance through this particular project. And definitely can't forget our friends at DHEC, James Hinkle, who is the Environmental Health Manager of the Asbestos Division. He was very instrumental in helping us to make sure that everything was done correctly environmentally with this particular site. We'd also like to thank our contractors, Summit Engineering, I think they're here as well. Faber Enterprises, which did the abatement process of some of the asbestos that was found here, as well as Jones Grading, who will be doing the demolition for us all this week. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Mayor, Stephen Benjamin, who will say a few words.
Thank you, Michael. And I think Michael's introduction clearly highlights how many folks have been wanting to make this happen. We do remember Deborah and her wonderful leadership at community development. But I will tell you that throughout this city government, our staff from the CPD and code enforcement, our fire department, our folks in public works, our leadership throughout the administration has been there to try and make sure we got this done. I know this is something that's been important to Ms. Devine for a long period of time, and I know that when Mr. Duvall got here, it was important to him. But I will say that this community has been pushing for something to be done about this property for a very long time. I know that Ms. Fergus will speak to that. I think Mr. Howard and some others actually told us to keep the machines running. Let's go around the corner and take down a few more buildings when we're done here. But we're going to start here. The reality is that when he hit the ground running last year, Mr. McDowell said that this was going to be a priority for him to have this addressed. He listened to the community members. He worked with the members of council and the administration. And now we're seeing that determination, that vision come to a reality. So I'm not going to take up a lot of time. I'm going to bring forward our city council representative from District 2, Reverend Ed McDowell.
Well, give yourselves a hand. Let me just, it's been a long time coming. For over 20 plus years, we've this community we've had this issue within the confines of this community. And of course, almost a year ago, we boarded a bus and we proceeded to ride through this community and other communities We wanted to find places and identify places where economic development and community beautification could perhaps become a reality. And of course, we stopped here. There were persons who were living here. We stopped the bus. Actually, we parked just a few feet from where most of you are standing. We walked over into the property. I must say, without hesitation, it was not a good greeting from those residents who were here that day. But after sitting and talking with them, we were able to discern that this place needed to come down. There were things happening here. There were residents who wanted to leave. And of course, because they have been so active in their participation here, we were able to relocate them. So this 0.69 acres and the demolition of these apartments only represent a minute part of what could possibly take place in the city of Columbia. We're going to push hard for this. Most of my fellow council persons, agency departments were able to help us get this done. Ms. McBride, our president, come up. Come on up here, Ms. McBride. Ms. Fergus is going to talk, but this is our president of Jones McDonald. When this project, of course, was breached, we knew then that we had the support of the community behind us. They wanted to get it done much quicker than we needed to get it done. So we are very, very appreciative of what's going to take place here and the possibilities that are going to raise themselves as we demolish these apartments. So,
Thank you.
no, don't go any place. So she's holding me real tight. So thank you all. Thank members of this community. Better things are yet to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we have a few words from Ms. Alexandra Fergus. Alexina, I apologize. Alexina Fergus, the Vice President for Jones McDonald Community.
Don't think that's the first time that my name's been messed up. Kind of used to it. But good morning. For far too long, our small neighborhood has had to endure and be embarrassed by this blight. It has taken far too long for this community to reach this day. Now, after many complaints to the city about the trash and garbage left at the entrance of this complex and on Waits Road, after many reports of gunfire and obvious illegal activities to the police, after many meetings with the mayor and other elected and city officials, and after many discussions, some of them heated, in our monthly community meetings, let me tell you, it is time. Our neighborhood is a small part of the greater Edgewood community. It may be one of the most diverse in Columbia, ethnically, economically, socially, educationally, and of course by age. As you can see, like many other older established neighborhoods in the city of Columbia, our community is aging. Our neighbors are getting older. More than 25 residents of this small community cluster have died in the last 15 years. They were great neighbors who took great pride in their families, their homes, and their community. We have lost educators, store owners, ministers, entrepreneurs, military veterans, postal service retirees, housewives, and other professionals. Some of us are still left. We want the same things that other neighborhoods want and have. We want a safe, we want a safe, clean, and attractive neighborhood where we and our neighbors, our children and our grandchildren can feel comfortable and safe going to and coming from work, school, church, and play. Mr. Mayor, Councilman McDowell, Councilman Duval, Councilman Isaac Devine, although it's late in coming, this is a start. Phase 2 is next. The demolition of the gates of hell is just a start. We feel that demolishing these buildings will surely enhance the quality of life for all in this community as well as in the city of Columbia. This community would also like to thank our newly elected City Councilman Ed McDowell for his assistance, hard work, and diligence in getting this community eyesore completely demolished. We would like to thank him too for making sure that this community is involved in replacing the gates of hell with something that is worthy, something that is of value, something that definitely adds value to this community. We don't want any of you to forget, phase 2 is next. We know that it is vital to our happiness, to our quality of life, and maybe even to this community's survival. Mr. Mayor, City Councilman, tear down those buildings.
Well, I think that is a great segue into our next phase of this program, if you will. Before we move into the demolition of the structures behind us, I did want to acknowledge Representative Leon Howard, and just want to thank him for all of his hard work. And can't forget, of course, Columbia Police Department. They were very instrumental in helping us secure the structures in the phase of as they were vacant. They did a great job in helping us secure the location. Wanted to take one more moment to just acknowledge a couple of our funding sources. As I mentioned before, South Carolina State Housing Authority provided us with about $35,000 to help us demolish these structures. And I absolutely cannot forget the City of Columbia's Community Development Department, who worked diligently with us to get the funding together to have these structures demolished. It's because of the Community Development Department, State Housing Authority, that we received the funds to make this day a reality. And we would love to be able to do more. So please let community development know that Columbia Housing Development Corporation needs more funding to do more demolition and to help the community become a better place. So at this time, as Ms. Burgess just said, we will tear down the structures behind us. I almost said the wall, but tear down these structures behind us. And if we could get everyone to move back to the car line, and they will begin demolition.